Bridge City Radio.
Yes, yes, yes. You are tuned into Bridge City Radio worldwide out of the beautiful city of San Pedro on 100.7 LPFM KCLA. I'm your host, Victor Bustillos.
Hi again and welcome back. I'm Frank, and again, glad to have you with us this evening.
That's right, that's right. And today, while we interview this person, we're going to be getting to know a little bit about his life, a little bit about what he does, how he got started. This person is incredibly talented. Anywhere from playing records, collecting records, making record boxes. He's a true hip hop head at heart. Some of you guys might have a box already made from him, and if you don't, I highly suggest checking out his page. We're heading over to Minneapolis and interviewing none other than DJ King Otto. What's up, Otto? How you doing, brother? Man, right
Just
here,
trying
bro.
not to sweat.
I hear you, man. It's hot out there right now.
Yeah, it's pretty drippy.
Yeah, you're in Minnesota, right?
I'm in Minnesota. Yep, Minneapolis, Minnesota, South Side. If you want to know where it all happened, it was 4 blocks that way, 6 blocks that way.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
So you're right in the heart, man.
Yeah, it's my neighborhood.
So has everything calmed down since then?
Yeah, there's still been marches and protests, but
Yeah.
I haven't heard about any clashes with police at all.
Wow.
Good.
Yeah, obviously not as bad as it was that first week.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty bad out here too, man.
The funny thing is, I had hired a handyman to do some work with me when I was getting my apartment remodeled here, and he lived in this neighborhood. And Prince used to go to high school over here, and now it's Central Elementary, but it used to be Central High School, and that's where he was shipped across town because he lived over north. We say over north here, and he said Prince's first drummer lived 2 doors down. Somebody else lived over here and over here. I'm like, well, Prince wasn't from my neighborhood, but the Revolution was.
Okay.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I mean, literally.
A lot
That's
of rich
crazy,
music
man.
history out there, right?
Yeah, it's kind of it's pretty crazy. This is Funky Town. You know the song Funky Town?
Oh yeah, definitely.
This
That's what they're talking about.
they're literally talking about Minneapolis.
Wow, I
they're
never
from
knew that.
Minneapolis, that group.
That's so dope, man. That's so dope. I'm so glad to have you in, bro. I really am. You're not only a wonderful craftsman, man, but your collection is pretty dope. I loved the mix that you did for us. If you guys missed that, you should check that out. We'll have everything backlogged. But I love the style of music you play. I love your character, bro. That's one thing I really liked about you. You remind me of a good friend of mine, man. And Frank, you might know who I'm talking about. But a good friend of mine, Phobek. You have
definitely
the
know,
look.
yeah.
You got the look. You got this
Good guy.
attitude. Such a great guy. Big hip hop nerd, man. The guy collects old school equipment. He's got like SP12.
Yep.
He's got the
Nice.
ASR. He's got so much. He's got like all the MPCs ever made. Like the guy's a nerd
Nice.
when it comes to that, you know?
Yeah, if I had the
crazy.
money.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you have it there in other forms, man.
I've been trying to collect all the mixers I've ever owned, so I've got a good stash of mixers.
Dope, man.
I love that.
Dope. Well, I want to get into this, man. This is the interview portion. Again, I thank you for joining us and being able to do this with us. So I want to get into learning about King Otto, how we got started, the evolution basically from birth, to where you are now, how you got into music and the trail all the way there.
Right.
So what's up with Frank? You think you ready to get into this, Otto, or?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Frank? You think so?
Yeah, most definitely. I know a lot of us are fans of yours, obviously through your work, your craft with the vinyl boxes. I'm sure a lot of people want to know where you got your name and how long you've been doing this for. But we always like to start from the beginning and know where you were born.
All right. Well, I've got a story for you then.
Yes.
I was born in Northwest Hospital in north side of Seattle, Washington, 1970. And sometime that year, maybe before I was even 6 months old, we moved back to Wisconsin, which is where my mother's from.
Okay.
So we moved back. The first place we lived was a farmhouse outside of the town, and in the time, in the 40s, it was a hemp farm.
Wow.
So it would be growing all up and down the street, just because it overgrew from the fences and stuff like that. So apparently, according to my parents, kids will be up there all the time trying to clip the leaves and stuff, even though it wouldn't do nothing, but it was, it was still pot to them.
Yeah.
Pot, right?
Yeah.
Pot,
Yeah.
Yep.
So then we moved into town. Probably about a year later, my parents were able to buy a house. This is a small town of 300, about 20 miles north of Madison, Wisconsin. And my grandfather, let's see, it's my step-grandfather. His father built about half the houses in this town.
Wow.
So even though there were higher bids for the house, my parents still won out because of the relationship to the town, basically. And we lived there, grew up, chasing frogs, cornfields. It was the 70s. I used to ride my bike to the next town that was 14 miles away and not have to worry about anything.
Wow.
Yep.
Good times.
So, yeah, that was it was a great experience to be a kid because there's just so much to do and get into. And plus the town had some history. Babyface Nelson had stopped to get his car fixed there. So all the gangsters would come through Chicago, or from Chicago would be coming through that small town on their way to some of the hangouts they used to have in Wisconsin.
Wow. Trip out on that, man.
Yeah, so there was... I was just going to say there's... my dad was doing some digging and found auto records from when he got his shop fixed at the Bell Motors in that town. So
wow. That's crazy, man. So mafia related in Wisconsin, I guess. Yeah. Man, that's crazy, man. So from Wisconsin, how long were you in Wisconsin?
I lived there until I never know if it was 80 or 81, but basically I was in 5th grade in Wisconsin. I was in 6th grade in Seattle, outside of Seattle.
Okay.
We moved to the suburbs of Seattle when we moved back, and that was probably 81, 82. And back then I was just listening to pop music, basically whatever the rock was. Quiet Riot, Jay Giles band. It was Jay Giles
Nice.
and band, and Joan Jett were my first tapes I ever bought.
Nice.
I didn't have a Walkman. I had one of those tape decks that had the speaker in the back and then it popped up with the buttons on the front.
Yeah,
I thought it was so cool because I had big headphones like this, plugged into that, walking around town. Thought I was cool because I had a Walkman, but it wasn't a Walkman.
Yeah, it's like a recorder, right?
Right. It was the cheap man's version of the Walkman. But
yeah, that's dope, man. It had a bigger woofer than a Walkman, that's for sure, man.
Oh,
Walkmans,
yeah.
You just had your headphone. You could unplug your headphones and rock that thing on the block,
Yep.
man. That's dope. So about how old were you when you were buying cassettes at this time? Was it mid 80s, you said?
Yeah, early 80s, probably 82, 83 is when I started buying my own, building up a record collection and buying tapes and stuff.
Oh, really? So how old were you by this time?
12, 13.
About 12. Magic number. There we go. So we always bring this up, man. Whenever we ask somebody, it seems like the majority, 95% of people were 12, 13 years old when they started collecting.
Discovering music and other things, yeah.
So what were some of the first records you were buying at that time that you remember buying or playing or listening to?
Oh, man. Back then it was, things like Van Halen, Quiet Riot. Man, I can't remember too many things because I didn't have a lot of money, so I wasn't able to buy a ton of stuff. But once I got into rap music, then I really started buying a lot more, putting more money into it, and trying to do what I thought I was supposed to do as a hip hopper.
would you say the Van Halen Quiet Riot were some of your very first pickups as far as on record?
Yeah. Yep. Diver Down, 1984, and then Michael Jackson came out,
Oh
and
yeah.
that Marvin Gaye album too was big at the time. I can't
Oh
think of
yeah.
the name of the album, but you know what I'm talking about with the
Yeah. Oh
sexual
yeah.
healing and all that.
all
Yeah.
the Marvin stuff was good, man.
That's
Had
when
to have
MTV
that.
broke, right? That's about when MTV came out.
Oh yeah. Yep. I remember MTV. I
So
don't
with
remember
all
any of
that
the
being
music being on
said,
MTV.
what was some of the music that was being played in your house by your parents and your siblings
Uh,
when you were a child, obviously?
when I was a kid, my grandparents always had the classic country. We were in
Nice.
Wisconsin, so I have an appreciation for classic country. Uh, my parents listened to probably the pop music at the time, so I remember a lot of Steely Dan, James Stewart. Is that right, James Stewart? Baby James. You know what I'm talking about. Uh, Steve Miller. Yeah, things like that. And I just remember that listening to the radio, and when I was in fifth grade, I got a clock radio for Christmas, and I would just lay awake at night and listen to the music and tune around to different stations. And in my head, I would pretend that the people on the radio were different cartoon animals.
Wow.
So I
That's
remember
dope.
Tom Petty being what was he, a hound dog, I think.
Wow, that's how you
Yeah, yeah,
envision
yeah,
him,
yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Yeah, it was like a bear and a deer or something like that, were the radio hosts. And
So, so you enjoyed the music that your parents listened to, or was it like, I don't really like that music?
yeah, I mean, at the time, 10, 11, 12, I didn't know, it was pop music. I was listening to, Men Without Hats and man, see, I draw a blank too easy.
Yeah.
Fascination, songs like that.
Oh yeah, good song.
Did your parents? So obviously, like the Van Halen, when you were getting into that, that was like now your music, right? Or did your parents like that as well?
You know what? I think it was my music, but it was based off what I thought other people my age were listening to, and it wasn't until I really got into rap music that I realized what it was that was speaking to me about music, and it was always the more bare bones stuff. And then back then, when you listened to rap music, you were hearing it on the urban contemporary station. So I was hearing all the R&B, all the different electro things and freestyle and stuff they played on the radio back then. So that's when I got more into music, is discovering all this other stuff that I wasn't listening to before that and didn't sound like the stuff I was listening to before that.
Right, right. So that's kind of a similar story we all share with the urban music being on. For us, it was on the AM dial. So I remember when I first started hearing hip hop myself. I'm wondering where you lived. So what was the culture like up there? Was it any different? Did you dress different? Did it cause you to talk different or hang around with different friends than previous?
Um, as far as when I'm getting into rap music,
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
yeah, I mean my let me think about that for a second.
Take your time, bro.
Yeah, because I have a couple friends that I've known for almost 40 years that I met when I moved out there that I became good friends with. There wasn't. I had plenty of friends during that time, but my close friends at that time were these other individuals who weren't into rap music. But it was the friends that I made through rap music that ended up being the next level of my lifelong friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I appreciate hearing that because that's true. I have again the same similar story as how hip hop in general made me have or experience having lifetime friends even to this day. So I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear that even
Yeah,
up there
absolutely.
that was happening. Yeah,
Yeah, Frank and I have known each other for 20 almost 20 years now,
yeah,
man. And we met through music, we went through hip hop, and we did music with a buddy of ours, Drew, and Steve, and man, it started from there, and we just kept, here we are today now, trying to document, whether it be soul DJs or collectors or hip hop or electronica, whatever it is, man. We're just trying to reach out to people that we enjoy listening to, people that we grew up with, people that we find interesting or inspirational. You're definitely one of those cats, bro. From the boxes, I met you from the boxes. We'll get into that. But so when you started listening to hip hop, around what year was that?
Around 84. It was, I did it started from breakdancing. It started from the moonwalk, seeing the moonwalk, I think. So I feel like by the time I was into high school, I was a full-fledged b-boy. But I remember in 8th grade, me and a friend of mine did a breakdance routine at the school dance. So I was already on my way in 8th grade, but by the time I was a freshman in high school, that was it.
That's dope. So you were obviously, as far as culture goes, you were obviously dressing, you had the jumpsuit on, you used to rock Adidas, Pumas, stuff like that, or what was your style like back then?
Man, back then, I mean, man, it was so silly back then because, we saw breaking.
Oh, yeah.
So there's the pants that you zip down the side, the black pants, and they're crimson on the inside. You zip them up, and then you zip them up, and they're tight. And then I used to love those. What was it? Chaps or Champs? I'm trying to think of the name of the store. It was Jeans West. Man, I can't think of those stores back then now that all had the shirts that would button this way, and you can get your tuxedo gloves.
Yeah.
Bandanas on your legs and all that.
Dope. What kind of shoes were you rocking back then, man? What were some of your favorite pairs?
Oh, man, we used to get our shoes at like Volume Shoe Source until I started rocking. I think I had a pair of I had a pair of the Pumas, the suede Pumas.
Yes.
And other than that,
those Gazelles, is that what they were, or no? I don't remember the style of that was, but those were the commons. Everybody had
ski
those.
goggles.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, I've got a pair of fake ones. I remember I bought for like $8.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember the shoelaces. I'd always try to get the shoes where you could separate the lace holes. Not the ones that are tied down, or stitched down, and then I would change the shoelaces about every other day and do the checkerboard pattern or the half and half.
Yeah. Were you a fat laces guy, or you went back and forth?
Yep. Yeah. The neon ones with the plaid.
Oh, yes. It was almost mandatory, bro. Back at that time, I remember being a kid, I wanted the Pumas, the Adidas, the jumpsuit, and even, man, I rocked the MC Hammer pants when Hammer came out, like with the Velcro and the tie dye and all that,
Yeah, I had a couple
parachute pants.
Yeah.
So it's just what we did, you know what I mean? It's something you can't. I wouldn't change that, you know what I mean?
That was a pretty short phase for me, but yeah, I did hairspray up my hair and try to make it like the
yes, the kid cut,
the rayon shirt.
That's funny, man.
Tap shoes, the patent leather tap shoes.
So back then, who would be some of your inspirations back then, man? Like in the early mid '80s, late '80s,
early mid '80s. I got a lot of inspiration from. I used to read these magazines. My mom worked in the city. She worked in a section of town called the U District, it was the University District, and there was a main drag that had used record stores, poster shops, magazines, things that '80s college students would need. And I would go there. Man, we'd be there like 6, 7 in the morning before anything opened, and I would just ride my skateboard around. And then the first thing that opened would be Bulldog News. So I'd go to Bulldog News, I'd read New Music Express and Right On, and I'd read about, Just Ice. And, they were covering artists that you weren't seeing in the magazines out here. So I learned about Go-Go. I remember, Spin Magazine had a big article about Go-Go and house music. And then I would go to Tower Records was right there. Or Peaches Records, and I'd just buy the stuff that I recognized as a rap label, no matter what the label was, no matter what the song was. If I knew the label, I would just buy it.
That's crazy. I got a Peaches box right here. I'm looking at it right now, man. They
nice.
have the 45 boxes from back in the days. I don't know if you remember those.
Let me tell you something about Peaches.
Yeah, please.
When Baby Got Back came out,
Yeah.
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 You remember the video with the giant inflatable butt?
Yeah.
That was on top of Peach's records for a good month or so, trying to promote that
Really?
song.
Wow,
Yep.
okay.
You drive by on the freeway and you
Wow.
just see it sticking up over the buildings.
That's so dope,
Wow.
man.
It's like a
He mentioned
landmark.
your artist, Frank, Just Ice, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love the early Just Iced albums. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, what did I learn about 5 Percenters from that magazine, too? That was the first time I ever heard about the Nation of Gods on Earth.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They were all into all that. Huh? I didn't know that back then until recently, though.
Oh,
Him
really?
and Rakim and all them guys, they were all into that 5%er stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't really know
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah, I think it
thinking
was
back,
that interview with Just Ice that I understood what these guys were talking about now.
see, I
Wow.
never caught that
As
back
far
then.
as
I
the
just
Gods
thought they
of
were
Earth is,
lyrically. Just I didn't really catch that. But okay, so were you from a group, or did you have like a name, a DJ name, a dance name, or was there any groups or things like that going around at that time?
Back then, when I first started calling myself a DJ, what happened was I was in my backyard chopping wood. We had wood burning fireplaces. A lot of places did in Seattle at the time, and these kids walked up from a different section of the area out there, and they were trying to find that other kid that breakdances. So there were other 2 breakdance kids, and we got together and started hanging out. And then one day, we just sort of decided to become a rap group. And I had already scratched a record. I went home, got off the bus after school, went in, and it was Frankie Goes to Hollywood. And first I took the needle and I was like, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. So I listened again. I'm like, okay, so you have to hang on. So I tried it and I scratched the huh. And I'm like, all right. And I had just a stereo set up with, I had the tape deck here, the turntable here, and then, the dial for the radio on the front. So you had to switch it from phono to tape and whatever, and it had an aux input. So my dad had an old turntable in the garage, and I hooked up the turntable into the aux input, and I would scratch with the volume and mix by flipping it from phono to aux.
Wow, makeshift, man.
Yeah.
That's
all
funny.
I had until I had a first mixer.
Yeah,
Damn.
yeah. We have stories like that too, huh, Frank? Our first makeshift.
That's when it's
DJ
fun.
set.
You're like, I'm doing
Yeah.
this. I'm really doing this. All your friends come over. They're like, dang.
Yeah, you really want it, man. My dad was a trip, man. He's an ex-gang member, you know what I mean? Once a gangster, always a gangster, lives that kind of life, today still. But he seen how passionate I was about wanting to be a DJ, and he would push the 2 house speakers together, and then we'd put like a little box or a crate in the middle, you know what I mean? And he'd break the video camera out, run the fat boys in the background, and I'd be like lip syncing right there, like I'm DJing, you know what I mean? Like trying to make hip hop videos in the living room. You know what I mean?
I used to lip sync for my parents too. I do it was Prince. I always did Prince songs.
Yes. Prince is a man, dude.
Yeah.
Prince is a man. You can't deny that, man.
So what was the name of your group back then?
Wow, I don't even remember. I did have a jacket that said that I painted on that said Tough City Crew, which we obviously stole from the label Tough City. But I don't remember. Later on, we called ourselves. Later on when I was hanging out with some other people, we were East Side Posse. Just because that's where our phone numbers showed up in the phone book was the East Side phone book.
East Side Posse. You had a nickname back then?
Oh, man. Where did I start? I was Space Cadet, I think was my first name.
Dope.
I called myself DJ Maserati after Maserati, the group Maserati. I'm like, oh, that's a cool name.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And Kid Rock. I was Kid Rock for a minute.
Damn, the original Kid Rock, man.
I feel like I stole that name too from somewhere. And then I was Crash, and during the time that I was Crash was late high school and then after high school, and so after a while people started calling me Chris Crash. Chris is my real name.
Actually, that's pretty dope, bro.
And
Chris
somehow
Crash.
it was just Chris, like Chris Cross Crash.
That's a tongue twister right there. That's a pretty dope name, though. So, about what age did you actually get your first turntable, your first DJ set? Sorry.
I want to say it was maybe even that Christmas of '85.
Wow.
I asked for the realistic mixer from Radio Shack, the one with the
Yes.
crossfader.
Yes.
And then I asked for this other turntable. I think it was like a no, whatever it was crappy.
Yeah, yeah.
But my dad got me the 4-channel realistic mixer without the crossfader and a better turntable. But the better turntable had a pitch control.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I was able to at least learn how to mix a little bit. But I did learn how to scratch going up and down. And,
with the volume.
Not
The fader,
on the fader,
yeah.
so.
Oh, was that like hamster? No, hamsters were you
Hamsters when you switch the
flick
crossfader.
the fader.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty dope, man. So 85, you were about, how old were you in 85? About 14 by then?
15.
15?
Well, 14 or 15. My birthday is in June, so half the year.
Okay.
Half the year I match up with the year, and the other year, or the other half I'm one less. If that makes sense.
Did
So
you play
14, 15, 85, 86, I'm 15, 16. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No worries, man. Did you play any instruments or anything at that time? Were you in the band or anything at school?
Nah, I took piano lessons when I was a kid. When I was, real young, like probably like 5 or 6, I was getting piano lessons from this lady who played. Her name was Bessie Barnes. You can look her up. She actually played in the speakeasies in Chicago during Prohibition. Yeah, and this old lady would take my hand and crunch it into the keys if I did it wrong, and she just made it a not very cool experience for me. But knowing what I know now about her, I would like to sit down and be like, "Did you know Al Capone? Did you play in these speakeasies? What was that like?"
So King Otto, bro. I am curious to know how you got that name, bro.
King Otto, okay. Right around, I think it was 89, 90. It's a long story, but I ended up being a DJ for a group out of Vancouver, Washington, or Vancouver, BC, called EQ. They already had a record out, and they needed a DJ for 2 upcoming shows. The first one was opening for Mixcloud at the, I think it was called the P&E. It's like a county fair in the city. And the next show was opening for Public Enemy on the, it was a Fear of a Black Planet. Yeah, on that tour. And they had asked my friend E Sharp if he wanted to do it. And he's like, nah, like ask Chris if he wants to do it. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to do it.
Heck yeah.
So my second show was for a sold out 3,000 seat auditorium, opening for one of my favorite rap groups at the time.
Yeah. Wow. And that's how you got your name.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I sort of went off on a tangent there. During that time, it was Chris Crash, but I'm like, I needed to come up with a better sounding name. I wanted something that was old school,
yes,
but also spoke to my German Norwegian heritage. And I'm like, King, King T. I like that, so let me take the King. And when I was a kid, I had a friend named Chris who had a dog named Otto.
Wow.
He had a basset hound named Otto, so I'm like, oh, King Otto, that sounds all right. So I just went with that, and I told the group that, and that's what they started calling me on stage, and I've been King Otto ever since.
What year was that when you first?
Right around 90. It was like right after I started doing shows with those guys.
Man, you've been rocking that name for 20. What's that? 20 plus years, 30 years
30.
now. Then.
Yep.
Wow, man, that's solid, bro. Because you had a lot of names at a young age. You had a lot of names,
exactly.
And then you just nailed it down, man. That's dope, man.
But now more people know me as Otto than Chris. If you call me Chris, 98% chance I've known you for more than 30 years. So everyone else calls me Otto or Odd or Ott.
Yeah, I remember when I had asked you, I was like, man, do I call you Otto or Chris? Or you're like, just call me Otto, man.
It's Otto at this point.
Yeah. That's it. So, let's see. What currently drives you to keep doing what you're doing today, bro? Whether it be collecting or DJing.
What drives me? I don't have it all yet. I think is what it is. I still want more. There's still new records coming out that I want to get. There's still old records that I'm discovering.
Great answer. Great answer, man. I think that's
So
absolutely true. The fact that there's so much more that we want out there. You know, we keep learning. That's the beauty of the music for me, man. There's just way too much out there. And you know, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you can't keep playing the same. Yeah, and you don't want to keep playing. You want to add more stuff, new stuff every time you play. At least I do.
Are you locked into like one genre, or do you bounce around from different genres?
As far as
Like I go
DJing
through
or
these.
collecting, or
Yeah, both DJing and collecting.
um, yeah, I play. There's certain parties that I play where I play. Party like current rap or club rap kind of stuff. Or there's places I play where more loungy where I can play whatever I want. So I'll go all over the board then. I'll play my Steely Dan, and late in the night I'll play some TV themes and things like that. But try to keep it funky and keep people engaged and happy.
Yeah. You ever play that Three's Company theme or what?
Yeah.
That's pretty dope. I love that.
Come on, knock on our door.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that you do that, man. You know, not a lot of people are daring enough
It's
to
fun,
do that.
yeah.
You know,
You drop X-Files at the end and they're like, oh.
Yeah, people trip out.
it's like you're touching memories, though. You know, when you do these things, you're like people are like, oh wow, like and now they relate to it and they can understand. They're like, man, I remember that show. Or I forgot
they're
about
like,
that.
what
Exactly.
is that?
Yep.
Oh, I know what that is, but I can't think of it.
That's funny, man. So let's see. We talked about where your name came from, King Otto. We talked about what you liked as a child. You know, you went from rock music, basically from classic rock to hip hop, and then currently now you're kind of all over the place with your taste in music. You go for it all.
It's all hip hop based, though. I think. When I started getting into 45s, I decided that I wanted every song I ever liked on 45 if it was available. And that has taken me down a lot of different roads. So I do collect all over the board. I've got a ton of rap 45s, a lot of funk and 80s and soul stuff. I try to pick up. I don't know that much Latin music, things like that. But I'm always trying to, find stuff like that I think is funky, whether old or new. So yeah, moving out here, I developed an appreciation for house music and that kind of dance music, which at the time in Seattle, that was all about my underground hip hop, and that's what everything was. And if you were doing something else, I didn't care. So now it's like I want to know more about the house music I was missing from the '90s. And playing some 90s parties and also playing like some of the pop stuff that I was never into back then and learning more about that. So it evolves because, I play weddings and stuff like that too. And then they'll want different things to be played that I've never heard before. And it just expands and expands.
Yeah, definitely. So when you buy your records, are you buying them? Are you dual loaded where you go to record shops and buy online, or are you strictly a digger where you go out to fleas, or strictly online?
Oh, I buy them where I can buy them.
Wherever you can.
Yeah,
You still hit the field.
I still hit the field, especially when I'm in different cities. There's a couple places in Chicago I used to go very regularly to. A while up until I had a residency there for the last 5 or 6 years, so that's not going on right now, obviously. But going down there, I always made sure to hit up a couple spots. But I do buy a lot of stuff off Discogs, Juno, and a couple different websites. But
are you an original nut, or does it bother you whether it's a reissue or repress?
I prefer to have an original if there's an original available.
Yes.
Obviously there's certain things that are very unattainable for a reasonable price, so I'll buy the reissue and play it because I want to play the song. But yeah, if I had my choice, even if it's a little bit beat up, I'd much rather have original.
Yeah. Has that original sound.
Styrene. I'll take styrene too. I don't care.
Same, man. Sometimes you have no choice, you know.
What's
What were
the
you gonna say, Frank?
original? What's the original price bracket you pay for records usually when you're buying what you like?
Uh, I mean, these days it's a little different, but right now I'll spend like maybe 30, $40 on a record. I've definitely spent considerably more than that. When I'm, working a lot and doing good, then I'll I'll spend 100, maybe 200 pretty regularly. Uh, I've definitely spent more than that, but it's got to be something that I really want, and usually someone that if I can make a couple payments too.
Definitely, man. They could get pricey, bro. That's for sure. I mean, especially right now in the times that we're in, I'm trying to be real careful with my spending. Real picky with what I'm picking up.
Yeah, I mean, plus trying to buy more stuff from the United States
Yeah.
because shipping has gotten ridiculous for some places.
Oh man. I hope that goes back to normal
Yeah,
eventually.
I mean, it was pretty bad to begin with for some places, but
Yeah.
when I'm seeing like
Yeah.
40, $50 from Jamaica right now, like that's
Whoa.
ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. No, I think I saw 35 in the UK to Cali. I was like, man, yeah, it just
wow.
makes you rethink your purchases. Like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd rather just wait.
For
Right.
real.
Or unless they've got a bunch of stuff that you want, then
Yeah,
it
yeah, if
makes
you
sense to
can
pay three
combine
or
it
four
all.
records. And
That's funny. So as a DJ playing out, what can you pinpoint or can you tell us about a memorable moment? It was just like something you'll never forget as a DJ, like playing out.
you know, I've been asked this before, and it's such a for me, my favorite thing is just wrecking it and just having a good night. And those, you can't remember them anymore. There's a club I used to play called Honey that recently closed for good after this whole thing started, and that was a big chunk of my income and definitely my favorite night of the month. But when I did that night perfectly and I didn't f up any mixes all night and had the energy the way I wanted it when I wanted it, that's the best feeling to me. Those are always the nights that I think about when people ask me that question. Um, there's definitely been moments where I'm like get to open for Sharon Jones, or I'm get to meet Bismarcky and open for him, and all these different things that I've been able to do. But I love DJing. Is what it comes down to.
You mentioned some pretty big names, bro, and I know that you've come across and met a lot of people just by looking at your Out the Box or the Outbox page. Looking at the Outbox page, your boxes are phenomenal, bro. Once
Man, thank
you
you.
know, first and foremost, thank you. A partner and I are South Bay Soul Collectors, and you actually made two boxes for us with the diagonal split, and I absolutely love that you were open to working with me on the concept. Um,
I like a
you know,
challenge.
yeah, and you did a phenomenal job. We get so many compliments on those boxes, and it's like the
Nice.
cheapest. It's like the cheapest box that you have to offer. You know, so like I could only imagine the guys that are walking away with the Gucci box or the Louis Vuitton or the Hermes or the Fendi or whatever fabrics you come across. I know you have some Pendleton boxes that look wicked. You have great ideas, great concepts. What got you
Thank you.
into making those boxes, bro?
That came about. Man, I'm trying to think. Maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I needed a box for myself. And I thought I've got the tools. Let me look on the internet to see if I can find the different hardware and stuff. Like, okay, made a box. It was pretty cool. Um, Someone bought it,
Hmm.
offered me some money for it, and I'm like, oh,
Okay,
this would be a
okay,
good way to
really
like,
quick. Can I come in real
make
quick
some
and say
extra money.
something? Sometimes our listeners may not know when you say boxes, we're talking about that you make boxes for records, right?
I make yes, I make boxes, not strictly for 45s. I have made some 12-inch boxes, but
Yeah.
most of the boxes I make are for 45s. I've made boxes for someone's watch collection.
Oh, okay.
Making one for a display case for a jeweler I know. So I've
Wow.
made a few different things over the years, mixer cases and some different things, but mostly 45 boxes.
Okay. 45 boxes.
So you You just got into that because you needed a box for yourself, then.
Yeah, more or less. And I wanted a way to figure out how to make some extra money for when the gigs weren't as good.
Yeah.
And it's turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say so, man.
I can't make a living off it yet, but I've definitely, I think I'm up to 170 something now.
Yeah.
Really good. It's a lot. So if people wanted to buy a box from you, they would just look you up and order a box, and that's how it goes?
Yep, you can find me on Instagram under the Ott Box. Every time I post a box, I post it in order. And
how do you spell that, bro? That's
the Ott Box. Yeah, the TheOTT box, BOX, the Ott Box. And same on Facebook and Etsy, I believe, as well.
Oh man, that's good, man. I could see the evolution. You know, I remember, I think I got 109 and my partner Drew as 110. And I could, you know, just when I had stumbled across your page well before that, and I had, you know, kicked the idea around of actually getting one, and I was like, I don't know, they're kind of pricey. And I'll never forget, I was at work when we actually talked on the phone, and I pulled away from my job. I'm a construction worker, and I was like looking out the window of a, you know, 20-story building out in downtown, and I'm like talking to you, and I'm trying to get it pricing and ideas and how this works. But you know, the boxes that you make are phenomenal, man. For those of you who don't know, check out the Ott Box on Instagram. Check his boxes out if you're a collector, if you just play records out. Well worth the money. It's a one of a kind piece that you just can't get them anywhere.
Can you guys show? Can somebody show a box like on?
Yeah, I got a box here actually.
I got one right here.
Yeah, let's see what you got. I want to see yours, dude.
Man, mine.
Here we go, man. So
this is not going to be impressive.
Okay, so those are handmade boxes right there, which you have for 45 record albums. Okay.
Yeah, he's got the leather inlays. Okay. His is nice right there, man.
The least impressive box I've ever made, and this is the one that I usually carry my stuff around in.
That's awesome.
It's like my girl, man. She sells these $1,000 purses, bro, and she'll rock like a $10 purse from Ross. You know what I mean? She's got so many expensive purses and wallets and glasses. You know, $400 glasses that come in. You know, Fendi and all this, and that stuff gets sold, and she rocks, and that's what I love about her. She's humble, you know. But yeah, your boxes are clean, man. You know what I loved was you made this diagonal split, and that's what I love, because I can actually lay the box down on the table. I can pull the stack out, you know, and put it over,
right,
and finger through everything smoothly. Then when you close the box, you know, boom, you know, the hardware's all nice, the handle's rigid, you know what I mean? I feel safe with this box. Obviously, I'm not going to throw it around because of the contents, but it's a hard box, bro. And I know you've made boxes for mad heads, bro. If I'm not mistaken, you made like boxes for J-Rock, Diamond D. You know, who else you got? I see you got DJ Scratch, Atmosphere, Big Crown Records. Who are some, when you get these calls, bro, and they're like, yo, I need you to make me a box, like, how does that feel, bro, when you're like, yo, this is Diamond D, like, you know?
It's awesome, because I'm talking to my heroes. You know, I've been bumping Diamond D since Digging in the Crates first came out, the song. So it's always it's humbling, because it's like, oh man, right now I'm talking to Kid Capri about a Louis Vuitton box, or
wow.
Man, I talked to Rick Ross.
Wow.
For like, mostly I talked to his boy, but I actually talked to Rick Ross for a minute. We couldn't agree on a price, but there's some other people. So yeah, it's just amazing to be able to actually have some of these people I've gotten a little bit of a relationship with. You know, we follow each other on Instagram now. We talk a little bit here and there. You know, so they know I exist. I know, you know, they've been heroes of mine forever. So it's humbling to know that they're looking for me.
That's comes a long way, bro.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Comes a long way, man. Was there any one particular, if you had to nail down one, I know it's kind of unfair for everyone else, that you were like, wow, I can't believe I'm actually making the box for this person?
Uh, J-Rock was pretty cool.
That's dope.
It was cool to make something for Jay. I met him several times over the years. Man, I'm trying to. Oh, Breakbeat Lou.
Breakbeat Lou. Wow. Wow.
I made a dope box. Me and my man Bean won. Bean did the art. I sent him the box. He did the art, and then I did the acrylic over the top of it and did the inside and all the hardware and everything.
Wow, man. Dope. What a portfolio, bro. Definitely. I wish the best for you on that. Were you like a carpenter or something? I mean, did you know how to do any of this? Or?
I have no wood skills. I got lucky. My dad is. My grandpa was. So my brother's a home inspector in Arizona. So it's in me somewhere. But there's definitely like I could point out a lot of flaws in all the boxes I make.
Yeah, but that's all right.
But that's me. Look, that's me critiquing everything I do. So.
It's got to be a good business, too, though, because you figure people don't need just one of those boxes. They probably need dozens of them, right?
Yeah, there's times where I'm busy. I'm very busy. This year I've sort of got lucky for not having many orders because I had a lot of other stuff I had to take care of, just, dealing with what's going on in the world. And I moved from a much larger apartment to a much smaller apartment. And had to remodel this one, completely put in a new kitchen, and then do everything I had to do on the other one. So from February 2nd to about June 11th, I was just every day doing something along those lines. So finally this week I put my records up. I got my Pez up. I got a new shelf for that. My room's starting to take some shape. I can start streaming again, some mixes, and try to, get back into that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that, man. I noticed that you're a Pez collector, bro, and you got a pretty hefty collection, man. What could you tell us about that, man?
Oh man, my Pez. I started collecting Pez in high school, just to be stupid, just to walk up to girls and be like, "Something in a Pez." And then I started buying whenever I went to the store and I saw one I didn't have, I'd buy another one. And then when I was in that group in Vancouver, I was going up there to Vancouver and seeing Pez that they didn't have in the States. So they had a different distributor, so they had all the European Pez up there. And I bring them back, and eventually I just started buying them every time I saw them here when I was in Vancouver. And then I came out to Minnesota to visit my parents because they had moved out here in about 94. I came to visit them, and we're walking around the Mall of America. And there's a kiosk with Pez in it and books about collecting. And I'm like, what? Other people collect these stupid things too? So like, all right. And I started looking, and all those ones that I've been buying from Canada were instantly worth $10 as soon as I brought them across the border. And I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm into it. And I started finding places that had collectible Pez, the older collectible Pez from when I was a kid. So I started spending more money on that. Then eventually in about 2003, 2004, the distribution changed in Canada, so they would get the same Pez that we got. And then I'm like, I'm not spending $50-$60 just to buy this line of Pez. And then, so I didn't buy them for about 10 years, but about 3 or 4 years ago, I got back into it. Started buying them whenever I see them, and now when I go to antique shops and things like that, those ones that I always say I have, now they have a bunch of them that I don't have because I haven't bought them in 10 years. So
that's dope, man. Yeah, I don't think I know anyone who collects Pez. I mean, I might
I've
have.
Never met anybody.
Yeah, it's dope though. It really is. I mean, I think we have one or two laying around in the garage somewhere, But to see somebody that has an extensive collection like yours is pretty impressive, bro. I'd love to.
Thank you.
Love to get some close-up shots on that one day, man.
I love my little plastic Pez and little plastic records.
That's dope, man. That's dope. You had mentioned a couple crews in the mix, bro. I think you mentioned hot buttered peas. Is that what it is? Hot peas and butter?
Hot peas and butter. Hot peas and butter.
Yeah, hot peas and butter. You mentioned True Believers, and you mentioned Slipmats Radio. What can you tell us about those three?
I'll start with True Believers crew. That's my family out of Seattle. That's Bean One, who's an incredible artist and producer, and now he's way underrated as a producer. He should be working with a lot more people on a lot higher level. He's just incredible, and his kid is coming up on some like mumble rap stuff that really isn't my thing, but he seems to have a pretty good. He's got more followers on Instagram than I do. So his kid's name is Sanjay. Sanjay Stalker. They were both big skate heads, but anyway, going on. Being one, I don't know if you know about. Have you heard of Pro Mike?
No.
Pro Mike has had some records recently on Cherry Records, and oh man, Tone B Nimble's label out of Chicago, and oh man, a couple other. But he's had a few 45s out of like a little bit of boogie stuff. His last one was a little more housey. So he's doing stuff. He was part of the Hawthorne Headhunters in LA for a while, but Seattle True School B-Boy. MC Specs, who founded the crew, he's been rapping since '79. He is a staple of the hip-hop community in Seattle. He makes comic books, he makes beats, still makes albums on tape. He's just a non-stop artist. So he's still doing his thing. Some other cats, my man Tracy, Textiles and Nervous Wreck, he's still around doing his thing. He teaches but still does music. So, you know, we all met in the early 90s, and it just became the people that we hung out with. Anytime you saw us at the club, it was us. You know, at any show, it was us together. You know, we hang out, and make beats, and make music. And that's pretty much, you know, scratch records, and that's all I did throughout the 90s and my 20s. Hot Peas and Butter, it was a crew of 45. It was a 45 party that I kind of jumped. I was asked to join near the end of it with Scheme Richards and Supreme LaRock, and I think it was actually started by Cash Money and Scheme. So that we did a few parties, but that hasn't been really active in a while. And Slipmats Radio is a bunch of just DJ dorks from Minneapolis. We're all friends. You know, some of us hang out a lot, some of us hang out a little bit, but they're all pretty prominent DJs. DJ Green, DJ Espada, Nemo the Hooligan, and A Scratch. My man Kenichi's in a group called Astral Black, previously known as Zulu, who do like futuristic Afro funk kind of boogie stuff, which is really dope. So yeah, that's those are the people I'm affiliated with still.
Good brothers of yours.
Yeah. Yeah, like Bean is like my little brother. He was a little dorky little kid hanging out. I knew him when his beats were like, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
Cool. And now it's like I watch his videos on Instagram. I'm like, how do you even do this, dude?
That's dope. You get to see the evolution.
It's like he sleeps for 45 minutes a day. He's just nonstop energy. And now that he's doing all this construction stuff, it's just crazy to see his evolution that way and becoming, posting pictures of these decks and stuff. And he'll just smoke 3 joints, and the next thing you know, he built a deck. Come back the next day, and it's all stained, and the railings are up. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check out some of those names you threw out there, man. Get some vibes. We might even have to reach out to a couple of them, man, and get them on the show, man.
Another one that I used to do a lot of music with. I was in a group called the Silent Lambs Project.
Okay.
And that was a guy called Jace and Black and Silas Black. And Silas Black and me, we recorded more than an album's worth of music. Which some of it sort of came out, some of it hasn't come out, but he's another name to look forward to. Silas Black. He's an incredible artist, just a different kind of rapper, but very, very hard, very serious about his skills.
So you used to freestyle then, or write?
Oh man, me and Bean would get together on Friday nights, and he'd make a beat and we'd rap. Or I'd make a beat if we were at my house, and we both write to it and then just recorded like a little song. But I never really took it seriously. It was just for fun. And I mean, I had some lyrics, I had some ideas, but I didn't have the voice for it.
I gotta hear that, man. I mean, I could only imagine. We all do it just for fun. I mean, majority of us do it just for fun. You know what I mean? It's only a handful that really make it. But I'd love to check that out sometime. I'm gonna have to link you with
send
that.
You some stuff.
Now we know, yeah.
Well, we're coming down to the last 5 minutes, Otto. I know there's so many more questions that I got to ask, but I want to give you the opportunity to, if there's anything that you want to talk about or anything you want to touch on, man, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear that, man.
What do I want to touch on? I don't know. I'm interested what's going to happen in the next few months.
Yeah, yeah, that's all, man.
You know,
that's all.
The world's doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
So yeah, I'm just trying to work through that and know what's going to happen on the other end, and how I'm going to survive the next few months, depending on what happens with the unemployment.
What do you do for work, Otto?
I DJ and make boxes.
So that's your living then, actually, music and boxes then.
Yeah, I've been full time doing that for about 12 years. Every now and again, I've had a part-time job, but mostly it's weekend nights. I had a regular Wednesday night. I did for several years. I'm hoping that'll start back up soon, but still not really comfortable being inside a restaurant. So
yeah, you're living the dream, bro. I said this plenty of times. I wish I could make a living doing what I love. You know what I mean?
I was lucky.
Yeah, definitely. I get it. We all have to make our dreams. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be blessed with the position in the union, and the money that I make today cannot be made by starting over. You know what I mean? It just,
right.
I would take a huge loss, and it wouldn't be fair to my family or whatnot. But, I still do what I love, whether I get paid or not, whether it's this show, whether it's playing records or just, sharing music.
Yeah, I've been lucky because I bought a condo in a triplex back in 2006. The lady in Unit B foreclosed. There was something wrong with it. My parents were able to buy it at stupid low price. Over a course of a couple years, we got into it with the lady who lived upstairs, and she was not a happy person and sued us for stuff that she was actually doing to us, so it was really backwards. But ended up being able to buy her place at what she paid for it back in 1980. So now I own the whole building with me and my wife. So I'm lucky in that way because this is my retirement plan. If I can keep this building up for the next 15, 20 years and stack the money we make off it, that's my retirement plan. I'll be good.
You'll be good. Frank, is there anything you want to talk about, bro? We got about 3 minutes left.
So what's some of the music you've been playing right now? What are you currently into before we close off? I was wondering what exactly, anything you could leave us with.
What's on your turntable?
I haven't downloaded any new music yet because I just haven't been playing out anywhere. So I need to download some stuff and see what kind of new stuff there is. But man, as far as new stuff,
or anything in general, it don't have to be new. It could be just stuff that you're really feeling at the moment.
Yeah, just actually the stuff I put on the mix, because a lot of that was stuff that I either just bought or what I was doing since last April. My Wednesday night gig, I play all 45s, and I wasn't repeating a song, and I was posting the set list every night or every next morning or following days, whatever. So I almost made it a year. I made it till March before I stopped doing it. So now it's like I have all these new records that I haven't played in almost a year. So I'm going through and finding the stuff that I bought it, I played it right away, and then I haven't seen it since I played it. And I'm like, oh, I have this. I forgot. I could take this off my wants.
Yeah, right? I can't tell you how many doubles and triples I have because of that.
Yeah, I just discovered yesterday I've got triples of that new Saturdays record that was on Heat Rocks.
That's dope.
I don't know how I bought 3 of them, but I bought 3 of them.
Some records call out like that, man. There's still some records that I see where I'm like, I know I have 2 or 3 copies, but for some reason I want to buy this one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just keep buying it's just a disease, bro.
Yep.
We live in this disease and I love it, man. So anyways, man, I want to thank you, Otto, for taking time to be here with us, bro.
Thank you. It's been fun.
I wish we had more time, bro. You're an interesting cat. Like I said, I love what you play. I love that you're multi-talented. You got a cool personality, cool spirit, and I'm glad we got to find out a little bit more about you. hopefully people can see who you are, and hopefully they enjoy it too, and hopefully they reach out for some boxes, man. That's
Yeah. Or some gigs.
or some gig.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if you're out in Minnesota, man, hit them up.
Yeah, I've been trying to get back to LA. I haven't been there since 2008.
We'll have to link, man. If you come out, definitely
absolutely.
hit me up. Let me know. We'll have to link. We'll get some tacos or something, man.
Might be moving to Arizona in the next few years, so
Oh, word. You'll be closer then.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely be making that trip.
Okay, cool, man. Well, once again, before we head out, is there any social contacts where our fans can reach you?
Again, just DJ King Otto. You'll find that on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the OT box, the OTT box on Instagram and Etsy and Facebook. Yeah, just Google DJ King Otto. I forget too. I got a Mixcloud page and Twitch, so you can find me on Twitch and Mixcloud, DJ King Otto.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
And I'll be sure and put all the links in the description, so you guys can click on those and give him a follow. Check out his page, man. Especially especially the box page, man. You can see the creative works. It really is amazing to see this. So once again, Otto, thank you for all your works and
Yes.
thanks for being here with us. Frank, anything you want to say before we head out?
Just hoping people check them out. Check out his boxes,
Yes.
man. They're really nice boxes. Make sure you order one if you're really a 45 collector. This is where you got to get them
I
at,
ship
guys.
worldwide.
Yeah. Bridge City Radio worldwide. We have been in Minnesota, Minneapolis,
Yes.
listening to the story, the life.
Southside.
That's right, the life of King Otto,
Yes.
the creator and inventor of so many amazing record boxes
Yes.
and a wicked collection of music. Check them out. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening.